been a while, hasn't it? Hello, this is Earth Moving Fire, as you can tell by the little channel icon down there, and I haven't been uploading in since a long time ago. But with the release of English Edition's Weiss Schwarz newest set, Bocce the Rock, no longer the newest set at this point by the time this video rolls out, I want to talk about how much I think Bocce the Rock is going to have a really great impact on this meta. Now you're probably thinking, but Earth, are you sure you're not just coping because you spent over $3,000 on a mid-tier set at best just because the girls were cute? Shut up. But anyway, the main thing I wanted to talk about how in this new competitive season, it's matchups against the 5 biggest, strongest decks that you're probably going to see in the meta. That being Slime, Overlord, 7 Deadly Sins, Spy Family, and Hololive. 8 Standby specifically, because that's the deck I've played the most against. Now, by the time this is being recorded, we had just recently hit a massive ban list in the English format for Weiss Schwarz, banning Chainsaw Man, that's the set name, and having a tiny little hit on Hololive as well. Was there another ban? I don't think so. But we'll just pretend that's the only things that were hit. Chainsaw Man. Oh wait, no. Sokka. I forgot about him. Now that 2 big scam finishers sets are out of the meta right now, it kind of allows more fair decks to be able to run wild in the meta. Fair being a massive overstatement when Slime exists. But enough about that. We will get to what Bocce can do against Slime. So Slime has, its main game plan is it wants to grind out the game and kind of like pick out the things that are wrong with your deck and deck state and use its multitude of finishers to try and create the perfect end board to most consistently kill you. How does it do this? By playing bullshit. And by bullshit, I mean the 2-1 Majoran and the 2-1 Shuna. Now, the 2-1 Majoran, kind of familiar profile. We used to see it with SAO. That's dead. Good. But the thing that makes Majoran special is, although it can't be free played, or not free played, but early played at level 1, it does have its Majoran does have his best friend Shuna that says has some nice little words on it that are very, very, very cool, very funny, very haha. Specifically the words that say all your other cards cannot be targeted by your opponent's effects. Pretty nice. That means your entire board is uninteractable, aside from the 2-1, which, aside from like level 3 bouncers, not a whole lot of interaction with the back row in Weiss Schwarz, especially for level 2 and 1 costed characters. But it also, if you have a specific Brainstorm, which you're gonna because it's like a good card, it's also a global 2K. So turning your Majorans into, they are 5/5s, to 10/5s, to 11 to 12/5s, which is... But enough about that. Now, what is the condition to have this big imposing board of 12/5s? By playing the game, as long as you have a legal deck and all of your things have the Demon Continent trait, because literally every single card in Slime's 3 sets have the Demon Continent trait, you just get to pub stomp people. But that's where Bocce comes in. See, Bocce has a really cool card. It's a yellow level 1 0 cost Ryo Yamada. Hold on. Here she is. Here's my wife. Oh, probably can't see that, but so we'll pray that focus. I can't really see behind the camera right now, but Astonished Ryo Yamada. Her first effect, if you have another Ryo character, she gains 4k power, making her 7/5 on play. That, we don't really care about that. Her second effect, what we care about, on play, pay 1 stock. When this card is placed on stage from your hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose 1 trait of a character in your opponent's stage, and all your opponent's characters lose that trait until end of turn. So now let's talk about some funny interactions here. So when we play the Ryo, we just name Demon Continent. Now note that does get around the 2-1 Shuna's effect because we are not choosing a character on the field. We are choosing a trait that a character has. We're not specifically targeting a character. So that allows us to remove the trait from all of the characters on the field. Now what does this do? This turns all the 2-1 Majorans into 5/5s, which our level 1 combo can clear. Or hell, if we have another Ryu, even this could clear. But that's not all. You see, Slime wants to loop its level 2 game. It wants to kind of slam that pants combo over and over again, try and generate as much stock and resources as possible. These 2-1s do cost stock, so if we deny them at one turn, if we deny them one turn of sitting on a Euron board, they have to expend the resources they just gained to replay the Majoran board, have another climax, get resources back, and hell, if they don't play the deck right and don't play around the fact we have a 1-0 Rio, they can grab just like, I don't know, stuff that won't help them get back and reset up their Majoran board, and we wipe it, and they're just kind of like sitting ducks. Another thing that Bocchi the Rock has really good into Slime, I think, is that it has a very strong mid-game as well. Cards, you have your free early plays, which you can kind of loop a little bit by sacking the 0-0 Bocchi the Rock, by sacking the level 0 Bocchi Stock Bomb with the 3-2 Rio early play, the less than 2 climax one. It's a spicy card. And you can do that. And then you also have the 4 more character early play, Kita, which in the front row, global 15. And then you also have a back row assist Bocchi. That's a global level assist if you have experience 3, which you will because your level 1 combo needs experience as well. So combining that turns your small 9-5 Rio early plays into 9-5 plus 3K, that's 12-5. And then back that up with free fresh and any form of other counter, you're golden. And because Slime isn't really much of a scam deck outside of its bullshit level 2 game, you healing down to 2-0 after you've been shot to level 2, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good matchup. You're not really going to die from there. If you go to like 2-3, heal down to 2-0, swing back at your opponent, and they're at like, I don't know, 3-0 at that point, they can't really reliably kill you. Hell, they might not even reliably kill you at 2-3 if you only heal down to 2-3. But I digress. So next we're going to talk about Big Bone Daddy himself, Overlord. Ainsama, right over here, has a lot of text, and he's a very scary card, and I totally understand it. I was scared shitless and excited because I wanted to play the deck, honestly, when I first read the card. However, even though it did a whole lot of work in JP, I don't think it's going to do that much work in English too. See, the main difference, I think like the thing holding back Overlord in English is Americans, honestly. The fact that the Western player group for Weiss Schwarz play a lot more aggressively than the Japanese side of things. It does not allow Overlord to have as many turns to set up as Overlord had in Japan land. And those extra turns really matter for Overlord because you ride or die are looping that bar combo, and you need a bunch of setup to get that bar combo. You need, obviously, the bar combo in hand, the level 0 in hand. You need five events in your graveyard. You need the level 3 Eins in your hand. You need the 1/1 on the field. And that's just getting the bare minimum. Bocchi plays bar. You can just slam a climax every turn and just unga bunga soul rush them. You're also playing an experience deck, so you're going to have a lot of soul triggers in your deck. not much as Hololive, but like a fair amount of soul triggers. And that's gonna make an impact because you're gonna push, although Overlord does want to get to level 2 first, it doesn't want to get to level 2 first that much. Because if you push them to level 2 while you're still at, I don't know, early level 1, their reach just isn't going to be that good enough. Because if they're at level 2, you're still level 1, you're big chillin'. They need to turn to set up the markers where they can blow up your board. Now, you don't have a real out 2 Overlord and Bone Daddy himself, aside from your level 2 anti-change, which is a bit late, but... Wait, actually, I think there's a 1 anti-change too. I don't think there is. I'll put one on the screen if there is, but I highly doubt it. Anyway, back to what I was saying. If you're at level 2 first somehow, Overlord has to do the side attack special to avoid you anti-changing their Eins, which allows you to kind of keep hand. You don't have to play things to the board again. Hell, you don't even have to clock, because your stuff's going to get blown up next turn anyway. So you might as well just draw and just crash everything. And they don't get as much value off their events because stuff's dead. But yeah, I think the main counter to Overlord is to just slam bar door every single turn as much as you can and just try and push for as much damage as possible in the early game. Try and mess up their deck state a little bit, because the more damage you push, the further into their deck state they're going to get. And the further into the deck state they're going to get, the quicker they're going to refresh, thus making their events go back into their deck, which messes up their whole plan. Seven Deadly Sins is a deck. It's very hard to kind of play around Sins because it's very uninteractive, and it kind of just does its own thing until it blows its load all over your chest and face and down your throat with its stock swap Fumio burn 4 Fate Seal 1, which is a very strong finisher. The most we can really do about that is play at a very low stock threshold. The way we do this is just simply kind of just making sure we use a lot of stock. Hell, sometimes you might want to even pay 3 encore a character and just not really keep a whole lot of stock. Now, yes, you are losing a lot of compression by not keeping clean cards in your stock, but we do run cards that increase our hand size. So that essentially allows us to have a +2 to our compression at all times. And also just got to be careful of your clock compression as well. Excuse me, Morty. But the reason we can play at a very low stock threshold is because of our Rio finisher. Now, Rio is what the cool kids would call a Marine at home. She is on play, sack a character, top check 3, 1 to hand, 1 to stock, 1 to drop. Really good effect, meaning that essentially to play 3 of those bad girls, we only need 4 stock. And even then, after all that, we have a stock to work with. Because her climax combo is after battle, pay 1, ditch a music character, burn 3. Burn 3 is not too bad. Like burn 2, burn 3. I feel like that's a really good number for burning at the end of the game. Now, the worst part about it is after battle. Memory ticks exist in this meta. And I don't think Bochi has a bouncer, because if it would, I would be teching it in all of my Bochi decks. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to be very upset, and I'll probably kill myself. So again, we kind of just stay at a low stock threshold to kind of make it so their stock swap doesn't hurt as much. In turn, their Fumio doesn't hurt as much. We're just trying to play as very liberal as possible to try and make it so that Sins plays don't hurt us as much as if we were to play more conservatively with our stock. That's really all you can really do, because Sins is a very play by yourself deck. No interaction really needed. You don't really care what your opponent's doing. You just sit there, slam your stock soul, build up a bunch of stock, and then blow your load. Bochi does kind of have an out to that, though. Another one that I just remembered. Stock Swap's really good, but what if Stock Swaps were bad? See, Bochi, there we go, Bochi has doo-doo-aid Stock Swap. Magic Stone, Magic Rock from Don Machu, if you're familiar. Stock Shuffle, so put X number of cards from stock into deck. Shuffle, blind stock X. This one goes plus 4,000 power in memory, which, sure, 4,000 power ain't nothing to scoff at. So what you kind of want to do is, around like it is a level 2 card, so you can at level 2 before the since player levels up, you can put their 10 stock that they generated all game with that's pretty much going to be pure clean from the Stock Soul, the Meliodas, Shadow Clone Jutsu, and whatever else they had, and kind of just force that back into their deck and then force them to blind stock 10. Now, it's not as good as normal Stock Swap because, whoo-wee, that'd be real good. But they haven't printed this true Stock Swap in a while. Bushi-sama, please, bring it back, especially for like Bochi Set 2 when we never get the second season. So yeah, maybe they blind stock a couple climaxes, makes it easier to push some damage. Sounds like a good plan to me. Now, speaking of decks that you can't really do a whole lot against Hololive, specifically 8 Standby, it kind of just does its thing. The most you can like really do against Hololive right here in this deck is that you are running 4 of these Bochi bombs. 0/0 sock bombs. So they can hard remove the Lunas because those are level 0s on the stage. So, however, it does require your stuff to get reversed. And because of that, they can just... You crash your board, they still have the chance to ditch one, burn one. Which, I mean, we do heal a lot in this deck. You have the Rio early play. Just shit it out. Heal. You're Gucci. Because that deck doesn't really have, like, a real finisher outside of just, like, burn ones, which are good. But if you can consistently heal those ones off, I think you'll have a good shot at living. Now, the last deck I want to mention is Spy Family. I think Spy Family is probably Bochi's best good deck matchup. Because while Slime ride or dies on that 2-1, Spy Family rise or dies on that 1-0. Now, the Fiona is really good. It's a very big defensive card, and you essentially +2 on it every turn it stays out because it's so easy to defend because it becomes a 6/5, 7, 8/5, if I remember correctly. 8/5, if I'm right, if you have the 2 back row, which not a lot of things can scale, and even if it can scale it, they have the 1/1 backup. But Bochi also has the trait deleter. Because Spy Family, like Slime, needs everything to be Berlin City to be big. Without it, I believe the flip side Fionas are only 2Ks if you have both of the Brainstormers in the back row. So I think it's a 500 base stat. I'll have to look it up during editing, but... You'll see it on the screen. So that makes them really small. So small, in fact, even if you don't have another Rio in play, the 3/5 can get over it. So that's a really cool little interaction. And I haven't really played against the... excuse me. I haven't really played against the Anya level 3 version of the deck. I've played a lot against the Lloyd version. But Bochi also has level 3 or level 2 game that can outscale the Lloyd game plan. Which again, you set up a board, they can't really swing, that's less cards you have to fill out from your hand, and thus less cards you have to clock, therefore you're not taking as much damage throughout the game, therefore you're less likely to die. So let's talk about, instead of what Bochi can do against other sets, what Bochi can do for itself. Bochi is a very 2020 kind of like style of deck. It wants to have a long mid game and it wants to kind of keep looping heals and kind of just like outgrind the opponent. This is really done really well, especially by the level 1 combo and the Brainstormer that allows you to plus overhand size, and your level 1 combo that allows you to plus 2 at most. Sometimes you're as good as me at Weiss and you plus nothing because you ditch a card, reveal a character, and 2 climaxes. But you also have a really strong level 0 game too. You have cards such as the 0-0 Ryo Yamada that is a Shimikai and Avoider. 2K being a very good power line on defense, especially for a Avoider type profile, because it can run away from things that are too big. But 2K is a big enough number to be over a lot of utility cards. Another really good card Bocchi the Rock has is the 0-0 Nijika Searcher. Not the drop searcher, but the Rim Ram type profile, but instead of sagging itself and salvaging, it bottom decks itself and searches. This is really good from grabbing anything from our deck and is also a great way for deck accessing because we are playing a Salvage Brainstormer and the Door Trigger for our Climax lineup. So we have a lot of ways to salvage, and we have a way to search our deck if need be. We also have a really kooky busted card, not busted, but a really good filter tool as the 1-0 Futuri Demon Spawn card. On play, ditch a card, probably a bar, so we have a way to turn our bars into real cards if we ever get flooded with them. Salvage any level X or lower, where X is the number of those 0-0 Bochi bombs in our waiting room. And those are pretty easy to get in there, considering that we sack them off to our 3-2. Or hell, we can even, if we have some stuck in hand, we can play the Demon Spawn, ditch the Bochi bomb, and grab level X or lower. So it has really good filter tools once you hit into level 1. Another really good card Bocchi the Rock has is the Fumio. Fumio is very cheap. It is a 2-1, and it's on play, pay 1, ditch any card. You ditch bars, funny. To Fumio your opponent for 1 climax, and it also has 2 souls. So if you are... Jeez, Japaneses. So if you are doing the low stock threshold, maybe you had to spend some stock out because you blind stock some bars by tricking bars because you're just as good at Weiss as I am, it's a very effective beat stick because it still has 2 soul. You're not slamming a climax at level 3 and swinging 3-3-2. You're still swinging 3-3-3. So yeah, I think Bocchi the Rock's going to be doing really well this BCS season. I think one of the biggest things that's going against it is people's reliance on like the old meta, because a lot of the decks from last year are going to be coming back and still being strong. And another thing is the price of some of these double rares. Glad I spent my money on cases. But other than that, I think Bocchi's going to be really good. And I would expect you to see some people, may or may not be me, be playing that set and hopefully performing really well with it. And so I guess I'll see y'all next time, and hopefully that next time is not in 3 years.